Oh, hello, Sunday morning, 8 a.m, time for another Wardy's Waffle and the Farmer Update. Thanks very much for joining us. Hope you're all having a decent week. A lot of frost out there at the minute, very cold, but bright sunshine as well. So normally I've started to the updates in replying to the questions from the last one, but I've got a lot of questions to go through. I know this update's going to be too long if I put those in, so I'm going to include those questions at the start of Wednesday night's update, so please make sure you watch that one. So in this update, I visit a flood alleviation scheme just not far away from me here, which is Protect Lincoln, or meant to help Lincoln from stopping flooding, and I go and look at that and have a detailed look at that and walk around it, so that's an interesting one. Also, there's a tractor sort of protest around Lincoln. I just catch the glimpse of that while I was up there near the alleviation scheme as well. So I've got some of that. On the farm here, we are getting ready for lifting the sugar beet up on the heath, and we need to put the bales around that. So I've got an update of that, and Ruben and Tom doing that and moving the bales. So that's it for this intro. Oh yeah, just a couple of things. The Kent Farming Conference on January the 23rd. This is at the Kent Agricultural Showground. I'm chairing the evening. It starts at 5 p.m. So please get there for then, and please book. I'll put the link to the booking below in the description of this video, where the topic is looking at regen. We've got a speaker talking about farming conventionally, moving the soil normally and doing everything to try and get maximum yield. And then we've got somebody from the regen side talking about regen and trying to look at everything that really helps the environment. But in my view, I've found that cuts yield, but we'll look at that. But I'm chairing that, so you'll get my thoughts on that as well. So please do come along to that. Should be a great evening, and I say 23rd of January, and it's at 5 p.m. at the Kent Agricultural Society. Also, one other thing we're doing in the protests at the minute, please just take notice of this, because next Friday, that is January the 17th, we are organising a sort of small tractor protest at every supermarket in the country. So that is going to be 5 tractors, no more than 5. Park as near to the door as you can. Don't sit in your cabs. Get out and engage with the shoppers. Really important this. We talk to the shoppers and explain why we're not happy, because some of them don't understand. You need to buy some stationery or coffee for the farm office, or something that you'd use around the farm. That'll help get over the red diesel issue, and it'll also allow you to park in the car park. But remember, no more than 2 hours, because that's the car park supermarket restrictions. And just make sure that we've got placards on the front of the tractors as well, signs and notices. That's really important. And then after the 2 hours, drive through the town or the city to the next supermarket. 10 a.m. please, start that until 4 p.m. So that's next Friday the 17th. Organise locally amongst yourselves, and get your fellow neighbouring farmers on board, and organise this nationally across the country. We want as many supermarkets as possible to be hit. So I think that's it for the update. Thanks ever so much for listening, and we'll see you at the end. It's Thursday morning, and Tom and Ruben have just gone up to load a load of wheat up at the farm. And I've just come in the workshop. It's cold in here, so I'm just going to get the heater going for them and warmed up. They're on with the tractors. We'll have a look at this in a few minutes when they get back, but they've got the grill of this MX painted to smarten that up. They're on with the cabs and getting all those smartened up, and then they'll soon be on with polishing as well. I just want to just fill this heat up with kerosene, which we have on some of the central heating tanks, and we've got a tank here. Rather than have it on diesel, which it used to be, it burns a lot better on kerosene, the same as the power washer does. So I've brought the heater over here to the tank, and just there's some bulbs gone here. They do actually strike up. They're older lights. We need to get some of these replaced actually. They will strike up, but we're going to get so that they're all the same as those. So we'll just, there we are, that's the light just come on, you just heard. So we're having kerosene here and on this heater. Really good heater. We'll show you this in a second. There we go. It's got that full, just see there. So that's wheeled it back into position on the other side of the shed, and just got it plugged in. It's on there. Switch it on the back. There we go. That's it. And this will glow red in a few minutes, and that's when it's really pushing the heat out. Works really well. We've had this one about, I think, maybe 2 years, and I had one before that, probably 10 or 12 years, and I bought it from a farm sale. No, not a farm sale. I used to go to a lot of auctions in Scunthorpe. There's a company who used to run a lot of auctions and bring stuff to their auction houses, and one of these was in the corner. I don't think anybody else knew what it was, so we just had to put a new front on it, do a bit of repairs, and I think I paid about £300 for it. And these now, probably, I don't know what these are, maybe, I don't know, £1,500, £2,000, I don't know, because this is the big one. But with this workshop, it's all got what we call composite panels, so it's insulated, and roof as well, and the roof. Now that wall at the end isn't insulated because the other side of that is a chemical store, so that is an internal wall, if you like, but all the chemical store walls are insulated, so that's why that one doesn't need to be. But really warms this workshop up a treat. In about an hour's time you walk in from outside and the warmth really does, you notice a big difference. There you are, you can see the outer section of that is glowing now, and if you stand too much in front of it, it really is too hot. So I think Ruben and Tom have just got this, got some paints here that just want warming up a bit. But I'll leave this on now till they get back, and it'll warm this whole workshop up and take all the chill off. And it's quite cold outside at the minute. I think it's -5. We've just switched the lights off, and you can just see that glowing red now. Works really well. Just walking back along the lane with the dogs. Got pool of water still, and this is after what, 5 days after the rain last Sunday night, Monday morning on this headland. A bit more here showing up, and a bit more also there and around the edge of the beat pad, and there is a drain runs around there. Whenever we put concrete beat pads down or extend them, we just put a drain around the outside and fill them full of stone, put it into the nearest dike, and there's one round there. So I just hate seeing water, and there's a reason for this. We need to just look at this, I think, and just dig a few drains up and just open them up and just see if they're clear or not. But the wheat looks well here, and this is the last field of wheat we drilled after late lifted sugar beet, 15th of November, one I feature quite a bit, but looking quite good. I know it always looks better in the sun, and it always looks better as well when the frost's on it, because it makes the leaves look bigger. But still pleased with that, but I'm not pleased with this area just here. Need to investigate these. But this is next year's sugar beet field, or one of them down on the heavy land. And I'll just look and just show you here. So this has been soloed really hard, you can see when you look at that. Just hard as anything, but great. I mean, it'd be carry a tractor, that would, now, if you wanted to do anything, but that will be fine. The frost will mellow that and work that. And it's not been ploughed, just done with the solo, but all left nicely, water draining through it for the spring. Hopefully mid-March we'll be onto this if we get a kind enough spring. But this was done in, I think it was September, October time. Looks good. So everybody's now arriving at Bishop Burton. This is the second one this week.
I think we've been trying to get him here for a couple of years now. 18
Yeah.
And Dan and Helen have managed to secure him. Andrew Farms over the river, a really good arable farmer. I've learnt tonight he was a governor at some point in time, so he's got links to Bishop Burton as well. Forage aid, into a little bit.
So it's Friday morning, and just heading off to Lincoln. There's a tractor rally they're going to be doing. I'm not anything to do with organising it. I didn't know anything about it, to be honest, until yesterday. So I'm just going to go and grab some shots and have a look at the tractors that are going around on the edge of the bypass, which as long as they're not holding up the public, because we don't want to annoy the public, and being a Friday is not the best of days to do it because of the amount of volume of traffic there. But we'll have a look and just see what's about, and hopefully it'll be okay. We'll get a few clips of that, and then going to head off as well and look at the flood alleviation scheme. So I'm just going to show you some of that because that's interesting. That's en route, if you like, round on towards the edge of Lincoln. So we'll get off now and just see what we can find. So the tractors have just started to roll up on the edge of Lincoln, doing 15 kilometres an hour. Tractors are all going up the road there. They've turned around this roundabout and going back the other way. Got a big group of tractors coming now in the distance. So I've just come to the edge of Lincoln. Well, that's a few miles out of Lincoln actually, just to show you where our water comes from and what a flood alleviation scheme looks like and what happens, because this one is quite interesting in the fact that it takes water out of a smaller river to take pressure off a bigger river. So that's the pumping station, and the pumps are underneath there. So here are what they call the doors or the gates. So when this river is full, which it was on Monday morning, and I wasn't here, if you remember I was down Cambridgeshire and down in Essex on Monday, so I didn't see it, I didn't get back till Tuesday, by which time it dropped. But this river all through here was full to the top. Leadenham, where we farm, is about 7 miles that way, but this carries some of our water. Now you can see this is open still. Look at that. That is interesting there. So what happens is any water from here, so if we get another heavy rain in the next few days, this rises. It brings water from Grantham area. This rises. It will go straight through there, out onto that farmland. We'll go out there and have a look through there in a minute and walk through the middle, but you can just see how far that water goes through there. So that's what they do. So they open these sliding doors there, and it lets water come from Lincoln a little way back. Even though the river flows that way, some of this water comes back and out here onto the farmland. So you can see this is now meant to protect Lincoln. So that's what it does. And then those pumps there, when they want to bring it back, they'll shut those down to stop any more water from the river here going out. And then it's all got dikes dug out the back there and everything to bring the water, and the water will all flow around to this pumping station, and then it's pumped from the back of that excavator back over there and back into the river, and then it goes out that way through Lincoln to Boston and out to the sea. But this is what a flood alleviation scheme looks like. I've just come to now just down the lane from where you saw the pumps and all the water coming out, and I'll just walk down this lane here. It belongs to a farm that I know, and I'm just going to walk down this lane to show you the water where it ends up. So when they undo the gate to the river, all the water comes out across this farmland. So this is the expanse of the water, and this scheme was put in, I don't know the exact year, I'll try and find out, but I think it was maybe in the mid-80s, late 80s when this scheme was put in. And there's a few farmers all in this area who all paid a lump sum. I don't know what that figure was, but they were paid a lump sum at the time. And the river actually can just see, well, when I get it focused, that there, you can just see in the middle of the screen now, that's where the three areas or the doors are that they open up to let the water from the river out onto this farmland. They were paid one lump sum because they were told by the Environment Agency or the government at the time that they'll be flooded once every sort of 20 years, and or however many. It wasn't very many times at all, but they've been flooded. This has been used now 3 times in the last year, 18 months. you can just see, as far as you can see through there down this lane, is water. And across here, right through there towards the wood. Just remember, there's all crops planted underneath here. More through the other side there. Huge expanse. Just show you through here as well. As far as you can see. All up to that wood, probably in the wood as well. So this was all agreed and as I say, done in the 80s sometime, but they're flooding it a lot more than what they originally said they were going to do. So the agreement that these landowners have is not applicable now. It's been broken because it's been flooded. Crops have been ruined far more. And obviously this needs looking at. Now the problem we've got is that this was designed to hold water, and what it does is it stops Lincoln from flooding, because the river behind us here actually carries some of my water, which is about 8 miles away. And all this water, then this river joins the Witham. So the River Witham is the biggest, well, one of the biggest rivers in Lincolnshire. And then the Witham goes through the middle of Lincoln. So letting this flood here behind me takes pressure off the Witham, which actually then takes pressure off Lincoln. But the problem we've got is it's not working all the time, because when the floods the other side of Lincoln, such as on my godson Henry and the other Henry who saw in the video from Thursday night, when their land floods, that removes the pressure the other side of Lincoln. And it needs both this flood relief scheme behind me and the banks to burst the other side of Lincoln and to overtop for it to completely save Lincoln. And that's because the river network is so silted up, so full of debris and rubbish, they're not carrying all the water they should do. And I think as well, if we just come back to the rainfall figures I put up the other day, Nala, good girl, come here. You just put those figures up. When you look at those, the environment agencies are saying that we're getting far more heavy rainfall now, far more flooding. Well, we're not, because we've always had, if you look at those figures of mine, just go back to that update from a week ago. When I started recording rainfall figures 27 years ago, we had 120 or 30 millimetres in a month then. And I always say over 100 millimetres is a lot of rain. So we're getting a lot of rainfall then. But we weren't getting flooding, in my view, because when those heavy rainfalls were coming, the river network would have been maintained probably only maybe 5 years before that. So the rivers were able to stand the rain. But the longer we've gone on without maintenance, the more debris these rivers have got in, the more bushes, trees are growing out the riverbed, the less capacity they hold. But if we had this rain 30 years ago, this is what I'm trying to say, the network would have coped with it, because it'd only been just done out. But the longer it goes, the more silted up it goes, and it requires less water to make the whole system flood. What the environment agencies here are trying to do, this is their answer. Create these flood storage areas on farmland. But we keep saying to them, it cannot be at the expense of proper maintenance and management of the waterways. But at the moment, they're saying, oh, let's make all these areas water storage areas. So put Henry's into water storage and all these other areas around the county. But it's just a cop-out, because that just gets them away from actually doing the number one thing, which is maintaining rivers. So what we're saying is, no, we're not accepting that. First thing is, you put the river network back to where it was when it was designed. Let's see some calculations. Let's see some drawings when all these rivers were designed, to see how much water they actually hold. Because we need to see those, because they're not holding the amount of water that they should do. And I'll use the analogy of a pint of glass. You get a pint glass, you half fill it with sand, that only holds half a pint of water. You empty that glass, that holds a pint of water. A river is no different. When it's silted up, it only holds half the amount of water. So a river not only transfers water from A to B, it also holds it and then will let it out slowly. So I think this is the problem we've got. We've got massive issues that the environment agency thinks we're idiots. But we must not have water storage areas at the top of the list. It must be maintain the rivers, get all the waterways back to their original design spec, and then if we still have issues, then look at water storage on top of that. But dear, oh dear, trying to get them to understand that is really, really hard work. And they just don't want to do their job. But anyway, enough of me ranting on about water. You can just see the problems we've got around, well, Lincolnshire and probably around the country as well. And of course, the problem we've got here is food supply. I go on about that all the time. But the more farmland we cover with water, the more farmland that doesn't drain properly affects the food supply, which means we need to import more food that is produced with products and methods banned in this country. Nala, good girl. Anyway, that's it now. Just an interesting thought. I thought you'd be interested in seeing the water behind me and what one of these flood storage areas looks like. So I've just left the floods and where the alleviation scheme is, just heading back home, but just spotted all this water, which I know is on the road back to the farm. But I'll just show you this because this is all part of the problem. So we've got Harmston Village is there, and that's where I filmed the red arrows up there the other day, just literally above there. We've got Colby Village there, then heading across there, and Leadnam's round there. But look at the water here on this land. This is because all these dikes are backed up. You can see here the ice there. That dike would have been full 3 or 4 days ago. But all the water there. And look at the water here. Now, the river that we've just been looking at is just at the end of this field. So that is the river bank. And it winds all the way along there. Now, there's the woods in the very distance, what's got the water all around it. And those trees there have. Now, the flood scheme, all that land just behind that hedge is all full of water. So that's where we are. Lincoln is that way. But this is the problem, that this road that came over the dike, over the bank here, but also these dikes. There's a dike just here. You can see that debris. When I say debris, just in the middle of the screen there, that is a dike. And the problem is the dikes all back up, overflow, and then flood this land. And it's not helped with it being frosty either, it's meaning the water can't drain away. So this soil is not going to be very good come spring when they come to plant crops in here. The farm, I'm just at just above Wellbourne village now. That's the next village to Leadnam. Just got a great shot here of the valley and this Lincoln cliff edge I just wanted to show you. So through there is Lincoln. So that is a recycling place, that big white building there. That's on the south edge of Lincoln. Then you can just see here, got the valley. That farm there is the mill and Michael and James Porter's, one of their farms. You can just see there. Then we've got another one of their poultry units is there. Then heading back across. So we're looking now into the Trent Valley, sort of Nottinghamshire, in the very distance Derbyshire, and can't quite see our farm. Bit of water stood down in the bottom there. But our farm is just between these two trees now. You can just see our bit of water there and our buildings and the hedges in the background. That's where we are. Another thing we need to do now is get the yard ready for putting sugar beet in. So we've got sugar beet in this field here. We're up at the heath on the Lightlands now. The Seals event is just across that hedge across there. We have got about 15 acres of this field on the far side, needs grassing down and putting into car park, but we can't lift that beet until we get the yard ready. All the sugar beet from here is going in the yard, so we need to get with Tom and Ruben have brought the bales across from the far side there, from the sugar beet pad across here. They're just in, because Tom lives up here now, they're just in the house having lunch, I think. But just look at these bales and what we do, because this helps us get more sugar beet on this concrete. So we've got the bales around here. You can see some of the strings are broken, and the bales are linseed bales. They're not straw. They're not normal barley straw. You can see actually some barley straw there, because our barley straw that Paul collected was stacked up against it. You can see the difference. So that's your barley straw, and actually no, that's wheat straw, that is. So you can see that's wheat straw, and then this is linseed. You can see it's a lot finer. Look at that. And the reason we have linseed is because it stands the weather much better. Straw bales will collapse really quickly, and the water in the top settles in the top, and then they go concave like that, and they rot, whereas linseed bales don't rot. And when we eventually get rid of these, what happens with these is you can see strings are going here, and this is why we have to eventually get rid of them, because they fall apart, because every time we handle them, like Ruben's doing now, these strings break. So you see that one should be there, the strings break, and then that's how eventually we have to stop using them. But what we do is these burn them. It's incredible. These be out in the weather, complete weather, getting wet through, and yet they burn like mad. So they'll burn to nothing eventually because of the oil in them. So this is still on. This is on the other Manitou that they brought the other day. So that's our muck grab. I paid £1,300 for that a few years ago, and we don't use, obviously we haven't any livestock, but it's surprising what bits we use it for. It's so valuable. There's room just putting them up. Then the beet will be all stacked in here, right up to the top of that and above. So Ruben will carry on across here with, obviously we're blocking these sheds off, but with nothing in there that we want to get at. So this eventually up here, we do want to take these sleepers out and put some concrete panels along here, but we just haven't got the spare cash to do it with at the minute. It would cost probably, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000, maybe 10,000 to do it, because we'd have to re-concrete some of this as well. And then at the end there, we need to put some posts in the floor. But we need to dig all this out really. You can see they've gone, the leaning there, because they've gone rotten at the back. You see we've got sleeper verticals here along every joint, and it just needs, all that really needs pulling out. The concrete, you can see here, that's dropped. Needs pulling out, concrete some posts in, and drop some concrete panels in, all the way right up to here. But as I say, we just haven't got the finances to do it. So that's it for this Sunday update. Thanks very much for watching. As ever, please come back with any questions and I'll answer them in the midweek update. Hope you're having a good weekend, and we'll see you on Wednesday evening.